All right, good morning, everybody. I'm feeling a little weak this morning, um, but I'm better. Last night, I was extremely sick, extremely sick. My sons have been sick, and I don't get sick even when people around me are sick. But um, the other night, I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on with me. I am like craving all this food, right? And like the urge was really strong for like chocolate and junk. And I did well. My son had like sausage, and I'm like, no, that's not going to satisfy me, frozen sausage. So I went and I made myself tacos. And I'm like, okay, good job. You got something nutritious in. I only had like less than a cup of, ice cream. And then I'm just like, okay, you're good. And then all of a sudden, this like food craving kicks in like I have not had in a long time. So sure enough, yesterday, I had started my period again, and I'm like, what the hey, I thought I was, pretty much done right around my birthday, right in November. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense now. So my immune system was a little weak from, my period. When I go through a period, it takes a lot out of me. So I'm like, and now on top of this, you're sick. And I hate to be gross, but I feel like I lost 5 pounds last night. I threw up, and I have not gotten that sick in a while. So I just, I threw up, and like I had double bagged everything. Like, oh my goodness, it was heavy. It was like a bag of potatoes. But anyways, I got really sick last night. So I'm doing better now. I slept in. I don't know what is going around, but a lot of people are sick. So last week I had a sore throat, and then last night I was so sick. So let's talk about something else though. I use these miscellaneous cups we have around. Whatever we have around, I just use. So, anyways, um, I had taught yesterday about right before I got sick. I was starting to go down about that video. I kind of knew something I wasn't feeling right, but I wanted to get that out. I had talked about helping mothers who have gone through an abortion. I think my channel is going to go toward not only do I help help women choose not to abort and stuff, but Lila Rose and Abby Johnson, all of them do a great job with that. So I think mine is going to be more of a niche about healing from abortion. And I know, like I was talking about Katie Chavez yesterday, who has post abortive care stuff, which is kind of where my heart was at with helping a lot of women heal. But I think where she does such a great job with coaching women, I think mine is just going to be, I think I'm going to start changing my stuff just into healing. Just healing, not so much even after, but getting through everything you got to get through and heal up. And I was thinking about my Substack, Rumble, my social media, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to start a new podcast called Heal Baby, because it's just such an amazing amount of healing after you have had an abortion that needs to happen. Pretty much your whole life has changed, right? So the other day, this thought came to me, and I'm like, you were broken up. You were already broken up when you were pregnant. And of course, I knew this. I mean, but I didn't really differentiate, the details of how it happened, which gave me more strength. So when you're going through the whole abortion thing and you're stuck in this trauma of just, basically the surface stuff. Yes, this is what happened. This is how it happened. But now you want to get into more of the details. And it's like an onion. They say when you go through trauma, it's like an onion and you're peeling back the layers, right? So when I was listening to this girl yesterday, she's like, the other day she's like, oh yeah, and then I always was an angel, goody two shoes. I definitely could relate. I was like Sandy on Grease, goody two shoes. My friends were all, doing drugs. I never did drugs. They were doing stuff, and I just didn't do that stuff. So I was too like a goody two shoe. But being like, learning to be like a people pleaser, and I'm not now. I'm not someone who feels like I have to make people happy. I have to, please everybody. So, back then being a people pleaser and wanting to, have that acceptance or whatever was a really big deal to me. So my point is, it's just, it's a huge amount to take in, a huge amount of trauma. Like for me, I was thinking, I don't think I realized how much that breakup affected me. It wasn't even like, there was just really no real good communication with solving things. So, like she talked about too, when you're in a small town, people are in your business that have no right to be in your business. And that's the way a small town is, right? Compared to like when I was going to Manchester, people didn't care. People don't care about your business. They don't care what you're doing. And so, I had a lot of acceptance on my grandmother's side. Just, whatever I did was fine. But take the time to really get in there. And I think I'm going to have this niche of really helping mamas heal. So, I didn't have a problem bonding with my firstborn son. I actually, when I went to the pregnancy center and got the free pregnancy test, I was ecstatic to be pregnant because I felt, let me see, I went through school and graduated early and everything, and then I went to college in '89, and I'm just like, this whole environment feels fake to me. Not so much the college, but I was working at a court reporting office with lawyers, and I'm like, this just is not fitting me. I am down to earth, and now I look back and say, yeah, you made a right decision. That was an experience. I mean, I did have a lot of family saying you should have stayed in college, but no, it just I wasn't mature enough, and it wasn't something that was fitting me at that time in my life. Now, yeah, I could handle it, but then no. So, so then I went to hairdressing school, and at that time, before that, we were living on North State Street, and we had a cat, and I had a couple false scares about being pregnant, and I was like, we had a bassinet the cat was sleeping in, but we got rid of that, hearing, how jealous cats can be sometimes. But yeah, I remember being so disappointed because I think it was, I don't want to say it was a replacement baby, but I definitely wanted to be pregnant. And then once I had the pregnancy test, I came out into the parking lot where my husband was, and we were ecstatic. So I didn't really, what's the word? We were in a Ford. By then, my husband's like Camaro or Firebird or something broke down, and we were in this Ford, and Ford Escort, and I mean, I was just thrilled to be pregnant. I didn't think about like, oh, what if the baby has this disability, or what if the baby has that. You just accept it, right? So I loved being pregnant. All my pregnancies, even my last one where I gained a ton of weight, I just loved being pregnant. I glowed. There's a picture of me with my second born, and I just glowed. I just loved being pregnant. So I didn't have a problem, like I was saying, bonding with my firstborn. I I had him at the hospital, and right away, I just absolutely fell in love with him, and I remember feeling like I now had purpose in my life. And I hate to say it that way, but I felt like, you know, a need that I had was fulfilled. Not that you can have, not that your mothering should do that for you, but it definitely matured me, and I felt like I just, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I didn't know if you know, I mean, I just didn't know. I was in hairdressing school, and that was going to be a career for me, and then I was pregnant when I was in hairdressing school and finished. Um, I graduated while I was pregnant with him, and um, so I just I finally felt like, I settled down and I had a purpose in life. And then shortly after that, it was just such a sweet time. I went to church and I got saved, and that was when my life really started turning around, and I really felt even more purpose. So, um, God's been healing me throughout this whole time, which I haven't even realized half the stuff that I have had to deal with. But, um, listening to other women now, I guess that's where I'm at, and listening to them more and their abortion stories and what they went through has been really healing. So, like in my video, I said it's so important to be able to share things in our life because we need one another and we reflect light in one another's life. The pastor just did a sermon about how important light is. Christ is the light of the world this Christmas, right? No doubt. But without light in general, without vitamin D, without, sunshine, without light to just function, you can't function. And I think we see that reflected in other people too. And the more you see, other people's pain and you open up that wound and you see it, the more you're going to heal. So it's something that you don't want to stuff. You don't, I mean, obviously for me, I really didn't have anybody. Nobody talked about it with me. Uh, so I had to deal with that pretty much on my own. I've had to deal with a lot of stuff on my own. So you want to open up and you want to show a wound so that others can heal. And so I'll be talking about more stuff as I dig in, and it takes a lot of strength to be able to go back and heal because you're stuck in this, in this certain trauma that happened to you, and you didn't have the whole story. You didn't have any help. I didn't even have paperwork. I didn't even know how far along I was. And then once you start getting in there, you're healing from one thing, and then you're like, okay, now what about this and what about that? So it takes a lot of strength to do that. And I think for a lot of women who have not been able to have some kind of healing, I think, intimacy is a problem with their own children. They can't bond. They just can't. And luckily for me, I think where my abortion happened so fast and I didn't really know what was going on, um, I just think it was pushed aside. And of course, I went to church and had full acceptance and everything. And I didn't bring up the abortion in church until, what, like 27 years later or something, I came out with it. Um, so I wasn't somebody who went to church or was in church circles growing up. And I wasn't someone who was like, okay, now I have to tell the church about this, or I have to, I don't know why it would be anyone's business, but I wasn't someone who had to, deal with that when I got saved. I just knew I was saved, and I just went on in life like anybody else would. It was really nobody's business, But now I do share that, and I don't feel like, oh, look at her, she's got the, scarlet A or something on her forehead. Not at all. And I'm so glad I had that foundational work first before this whole abortion thing came out, because abortion is such a huge wound. If you don't have Christ, and this is what I hope to, point people to is Christ. If you don't have Christ, dealing with the abortion is going to hurt even more. It's just, you've got to have not only Him, but you got to have the Word on a regular basis, and so that's going to help you, especially when the enemy is sending condemnation and shame your way. you're already grounded in truth, so it's not going to um, hit you as hard. So I really have a desire to help women to know Christ, to realize it's not the worst sin in the world. Whether you chose, whether you didn't, it is something that happened to you. I'm still working on my book, but with Britney Spears coming out, I'm probably going to work off her book a little bit. But anyways, that's what I got for now. I'm looking to help women heal. Um, and, I definitely did grieve my baby. And you can live in a way that honors your baby. You can, acknowledge that, yes, you're a mother of 6, as I am, not 5, but 6. And I remember when I was pregnant with my firstborn, my father was not happy. He wasn't happy. And I'm like, what is the matter with dad, to my mom? And she's like, well, you know him. You know how he is. He isn't happy until he sees the baby. So I was just like, what's it got to do with him? Nothing, right? So when I was pregnant, I don't know why he didn't act happy for me, but he was kind of condemning still. And then he said, now I know you're having sex. And I was just like, what? You knew before that I was. And so the denial even around the abortion is huge. It's huge. It's not, I mean, the reality of what truly happened is so difficult with coming out and being like, no, this is what happened. This is the reality. It's not what you want to call it or paint it or whatever. So it takes a lot of strength for a woman to do this. And when we're in a society that doesn't allow women to talk about this, it's like a it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So we want to get it out. We want to get our stories out. It's the best thing we can do to help other women is get your story out. And no one can tell your story except you. Everybody who wants to bring, how do I say this, burden you some more with their thoughts about abortion, they're not you. So they don't know, right? They don't know your story. And this is why we see so much judgment in the abortion arena and so much condemnation and shame, because people are not talking about it enough, and when they go and try to talk about it, they get more condemnation and shame. So we want to bring this out into the light. Okay, that's what I got, guys.